What up, everybody? Everybody, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the What's Up, Everybody podcast. Podcast number 21, Sweet Tea.
Episode
Already.
21, I think. 21, 22, something in there. Yeah, man.
Here with my co-host, Sweet Tea, and my other brother, Evan the Titan Thompson.
What up?
Here in town, coming to join you guys. Well, actually, you guys joining us, but we got some really cool stories for you guys. Evan, how you been, man?
Good, man. Good to
How
be
was
here.
your trip this week?
It was good. It was a good trip. Well, besides the fact that my kiddos are sick, but other than that, it was good.
Nice. You know,
Just allergies, you know?
Yeah. And so that's how it always is down south. You know what I mean?
The allergies are real.
Yeah, everybody from New York or not necessarily from New York or California moving down to South Carolina, you may move back after one season of spring or fall time.
Yeah,
the allergies are ridiculous.
For sure.
Sweet Tea,
Yeah.
how you doing, buddy?
Dude, you're going to use my mic? We're not in the typical setup.
Or not?
As you guys may have noticed, we've had to switch things up a little bit. We brought the setup to the Thompson compound, which is where Evan is staying. He's staying with our parents out here. And we don't have, this is our mobile studio. So we're just holding mics. And do you need to speak into my microphone or
You know, I can kind of go both. You know what I mean?
either or?
Yeah.
Depending on which way you're facing.
Right here.
Yeah.
But we're good. We're good.
Comfy right now. We should have these seats at a regular podcast, man.
Yeah. We
I
should
think
just turn this into our studio.
I think it's picking up on both right now. So
Perfect.
yeah, so I don't even have to lean towards you guys at all.
No, it's good. It's good.
Anyway,
So,
Evan, what have you been up to, man?
Work, doing the dad thing, trying to,
Make ends meet. I know.
live life to its fullest with two kids.
yeah, but you everybody knows we talk about you a lot being the jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Black belt now, dude. You're a black belt in Brazilian. I even started before you. What the heck? I was
Huh?
a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
You started jiu-jitsu before me? No.
I did.
When did you? No, we started jiu-jitsu at the same time.
I was older. I started before him, and now he's a black belt. He can kick my butt, but whatever.
But other than your BJJ training, what else have you been doing?
Well, I own my business partner and I. We run a school, a Machado Jiu-Jitsu school in the Colony, Texas. Shout out to all the RCJ or CMJJ Colony students. So I've just been doing that, man. I got two kiddos. I got a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old. So I'm doing that, and I just finished and published my first book.
There it is. That's what I was trying to get at.
And yeah. Finished and published that, and now I'm starting book 2, man. Book 2 of
Already?
the series.
Oh yeah, that's right. You called me not too long ago, asking for talking about it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. So I got that done, and
Ooh.
so this is it right
Yeah,
here.
I was trying to like Steven, like hold it up, dude. He was just like, yeah, man, what's up?
Sorry.
Next
This
to
is
him
it,
over
you
here.
guys. Thomas Orbit's Marked by Fire. That's my book right there. First one. I'm a novice novelist.
I like it, Evan. I like it. Now, how many books do you think you're gonna be writing?
I think it's going to be either 4. It's either going to be a 4 or 5 book series.
Dang, for real?
Yeah.
4 or 5 book. So I know kind of J.K. Rowling inspired you, right?
Well, I love all the Harry Potter books.
Oh, obviously. They're so freaking good. But how do you come up? How do you know it's going to be 4 or 5 books? You just winging it at this point?
Well, it kind of. I'm not really winging it. Like, I know how the whole, I guess, journey or the adventure is going to be, and Thomas has to complete 4 tests, right? So I'm gonna make each book his adventure to get to the tests. So the first book is his adventure towards the first test. Second book is going to be his. I really wouldn't say adventure, because if you were really there, it would be pretty damn stressful. It would be a stressful adventure, I guess you could say. I've been on one of those, but
well, I was
which
thinking,
we're gonna get to in a little bit.
Yeah. So it's kind of basically Lord of the Rings, but in space.
Yeah,
Adventure.
man.
Lord of
It's
the
a
Space Rings.
adventure. Yeah. Yeah, it's a space adventure. I love, as far as space goes, you can pretty much imagine anything, and it's probably somewhere in space.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Space
And no one
adventure.
can say that it's not in space because no one knows.
No one
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
The eighth
Space
frontier, as they
adventure.
call it.
Yeah.
Guys, gotta go check this out. Where can they get this book, man?
You guys can go to Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. And what I'm actually going to do
We're gonna read the book now.
is we're going to read the whole
entire
book
book.
now. And we're going to act out all the voices, the characters, all of that good stuff. But now you guys can go to Amazon and pick up this book, Thomas Orbit's Marked by Fire. And,
We're going to make it easy for you. We're going to link it down in the description below. So if you want to grab your copy of Thomas Orbit's, of
Marked by Fire.
Brother Thompson's first book, and show some love, that'll be down in the description. So head down there and grab you a copy.
yeah, and just to make it even better for everybody, I'm actually going to do what I call, and if you're a Warzone player, fire sale. You guys, I'm knocking the price of this book down to $9.99. You guys, I'm gonna knock it down to $9.99 for 1 week. 1 week only. Then it's going back up. Okay, so
That's a
you
deal.
guys can get it. Yeah, man. It's. I just want it to be out in people's hands because the goal is to get this made into a movie. That's the goal. So y'all help me out.
Who's gonna be Thomas?
Me.
I look like a teenager.
Yeah, you can be Thomas. You can be Thomas. I'll be Angelo, his trainer.
Well, you can't go into it. You let them. You can't go.
Y'all will
you
find
let
this
them-
out. But yeah, man.
Find out.
Yeah,
And I
we
guess
can
I'll
make it.
just...
Tony, you can be one of the Guardians, bro.
Yeah, they're.
cool.
Y'all will learn about all this stuff in the
mean-
book.
They're super strong.
I'm built for a guardianship.
Yeah, bro. Not from the Guardians of the Galaxy, you guys. These are different Guardians.
You got to
They
read
will
to see
kick
what
their
kind of
butts.
guardians.
That's right.
Quality book, guys. Go check it out. Read it. Let us know what you think about it in the comments down below. It is awesome. All right? It is awesome. I
Fire
recommend
sale.
it. Please, fire sale. It is on sale, so go check it out. You got to go like this. Fire sale.
Quick, what game?
Fire sale. That was even better. That was the better one. Should we get into the story time?
Story time?
So let's just... Everybody knows we are big story timers. WB's got some cool stories. Papa Ridgehand's got some excellent stories. But I'm going to be honest with you.
You had some good stories too, by the way.
None... Thanks for interrupting me, man. None of the
Wonderboy's notorious for interrupting
stories
people.
that you've heard to date have been as crazy as this one, and I am super excited about it. I've only heard it really kind of bits and pieces one time, and he was telling us about it yesterday, and I was on the edge of my seat just like, oh man, what the heck happened next? So I'm excited to share this story with you guys, to have him here, share this story with you guys, give you the details, and let's just get right into it. It's going to be a while, and it's
Yeah.
let's go for it.
Well, before you kind of indulge in what actually happened, while all this was going on, you didn't tell us anything what was going on.
I couldn't.
And he'll explain. He'll
Well, I
explain
thought
that in
I
a
couldn't.
second. I knew he was overseas in some other country, but to be honest with you,
We really only saw like a couple of your posts,
Yeah.
like on Instagram. You were. I remember you posted something, and you were like, "How they do martial arts in Jakarta," and I was like,
why is
"Is
he there?
Evan in Jakarta?" And then that was really the only thing. I was like, "Oh, I guess maybe so for a trip or something," but that was really it.
I don't know why, but I thought you were going there to like adopt a baby or something. You know what I'm saying?
That probably
Like,
would have
I
been
don't
a
know
lot
why.
less stressful than what I
Why?
freaking went through.
So that was kind of like what was going through our head. But Evan, tell us what really happened.
Okay.
Oh,
All
my
right. So this happened a couple years ago. I think in 2019 is when it happened. So I'm at my academy and I'm teaching jiu-jitsu, and then I get a phone call from Higan Machado. And he's trying to hook me up, right? I moved out to Dallas because I was making my way out to California years ago to try to pursue acting and stuff like that. Stopped in Dallas with my brother-in-law Carlos Machado, my sister Lindsay, and loved it and just decided to stay. So over the years that I've been there, I've talked to Higan Machado because he loves the acting and stuff too.
And
so
Evan's
he kind of
always-
knows.
You've always been into acting. He's
Yeah,
always wanted
yeah.
to be an actor. Always loves movies. you were just all into it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I get a phone call from Hegan, and he's like, "Hey, man, a very big name is going to be calling you. His name is Jeff Johns. He's going to be calling you because they're filming a new DC movie, and they're interested in you." I'm like, "Why would they be interested in me?" He's like, "I put a good word in for you, and they are looking for pretty much a no-named martial artist, someone who really doesn't have a face in the acting biz now." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. Give him my number and have him call me."
Well, Hegan Machado, he's worked with all kinds of movie stars.
Yeah,
right?
he did a lot of work with John Wick, you guys. A ton of work with John Wick.
Reeves.
Yeah, on John Wick, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Paul Walker.
Yeah.
I know
Just head over to his Instagram. You'll see all the people that he works with.
Oh yeah.
Charlie
So,
Hunnam, like a bunch
Nicolas
of big
Cage,
name
him
guys.
and Nicolas Cage are, I believe, are really good friends.
So it's understandable that you would believe a guy like Hegan.
Well,
right?
yeah, because Hegan would never try to, steer me wrong or anything like that. So yeah, I believed him, right? So I get a phone call from Jeff Johns, who I think is Jeff Johns, and he's like, "Hey Evan, I was given your information by Hegan, and we love Hegan. We've done some work with Hegan." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He's like, and he kind of gave me a rundown of the movie that they were going to be making, or that I would be auditioning for, and it was Nightwing.
Ooh, I love Nightwing.
Yeah,
Great.
I was going to go for, possibly audition for the role of Dick Grayson. So I'm like, okay, even cool. This is awesome. All right.
Heck yeah.
Inside my head, I was like, I'm a little bit taller than Dick Grayson is, but I'll just go with it.
You know how tall Dick Grayson is?
Yeah, he's like 5'9", 5'10". Maybe
only Evan would know that.
Yeah. So, but anyways, he gives me the rundown, tells me what I have to do. And he's like, you have to, he's like, you're going to go out to Jakarta, Indonesia, and you have to go through a training session with this very famous stunt choreographer. He did the stunt choreography on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a lot of Jackie Chan movies. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the guy's name.
Well, that sounds legit, Going to Jakarta for an audition. It just sounds right up like, I guess that's what they do in the movies. Just go to random countries to do auditions.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, right? So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down to do that. And then I'm like, okay, so are y'all going to fly me out there? You're going to get me a plane ticket, and put me in a hotel? I mean, how does this work? And they're like, well, no, we don't do that because you haven't gotten the part yet. You still have to do this training, and then you have to go and audition in front of Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder. So I'm like, okay.
Like Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Like the
Zack
Snyder edition of like Justice League.
Yeah.
That Snyder.
And his wife.
Wow.
Not to mention 300.
Yeah, 300, Superman, Man of Steel, all those. So I'm like, okay. So I talk to my wife, get a plane ticket, fly to Jakarta. All the way to Jakarta. So
how long was that?
Like a 28-hour flight.
And Evan was in the back of the bus, people.
I was in the toilet. That's where my seat was, in the toilet.
Yeah.
No, but we fly into Hong Kong, and the whole time I'm making my way over there, Jeff Johns, and I'm even talking to Deborah Snyder, who I thought was Deborah Snyder.
Does it sound like him? Did they sound like him?
Exactly. They had to have been using a deep fake software. Like, not the kind for your face, it's like one for your voice. So I'm in Hong Kong at the airport, and Jeff Johns guy is just keeping track of me like hardcore. He's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Hong Kong. Okay, grab you some food, relax, I'm gonna call you back in an hour. I'm like, okay. So anyways, he does. We talk back and forth. I talked to Deborah Snyder a few times as well. And then I make my way over to Jakarta. And as I'm walking out of the plane, there's somebody holding my name up, right? Evan Thompson holding my name. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So it's a taxi
legit
guy. Yeah, I thought it was legit. He's holding my name. Thought it was legit. Go up to him. I pay him the money. He takes me to my hotel. I get checked into my room. And then after I drop my bags off in the room, I come back down. And the taxi guy takes me to a martial arts school a Silat school, which is what I'm supposed to be kind of practicing with this fight choreography, Silat. And I'm like, okay, so I'm like walking around there, and you can actually see some of these videos on my Instagram. But I'm walking around, I'm watching these kiddos do Silat or their kicks and punches. They weren't bad. They were okay.
Was this inside or outside?
It was an outside.
Ooh, that's
cool. Outdoor. It was like it looked like a monastery, like a kung fu.
Yeah, like you see
monastery.
the kung fu movies.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It looked like that.
Legit.
So they're doing their martial arts outside. I'm walking around, watching them. Go back to the taxi. He takes me back to the hotel, and I get lunch, and then I go hang out in my room for a little bit, and then Jeff Johns calls me. Hey, the guy's gonna take you to meet up with the fight choreographer. I'm like, okay. So I come back down to to meet the taxi guy. And the dude hands me another bill. I just got done paying him like $400 to take me everywhere that I needed to go.
$400. How long was that?
He's supposed to take me everywhere I needed to go. So I'm just like, okay.
$400,
Yeah,
but
$400.
It feels like only 2 spots to me.
Well,
The
no,
hotel.
there were supposed to be other places that I was supposed to go. That $400 was to include. Right?
So essentially, you give him the $400 and that's it. You don't have to pay him. You shouldn't have to pay him for the rest of the time.
I shouldn't have to pay him at all
That's
anymore.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he hands me another bill for like $350 more. I said, no. I said, I'm not paying you. I already paid you. I go, hang on. And I walk up to my room to get the receipt, and I come back down, and he's gone. He's gone. He left with my money. Right? He's
gave
not
him the
coming
money?
back. Yeah, I paid him up front.
You gave him the $400,
Yeah.
Oh.
and then he left with that money. You
left
didn't
with
give
that
him
money.
more money.
I gave him that
Okay.
money at the airport. I
Got
gave
you.
him that money at the airport. This other bill was for an extra like $350. And I'm like, no, I already paid you what I was supposed to pay you. So he ends up leaving. Jeff Johns called me. He's like, okay, how's everything going? I'm like, well, the dude stole my money. He's like, what do you mean he stole your money? I'm like, he left. He gave me another bill for more money. And he's like, wait a minute. What do you mean he gave you another bill? I'm like, he wanted more money. He took my money and he left. I'm getting kind of mad right now because he took my money. And he's like, hang on. I'll make some calls. We'll get it figured out and we'll get you to where you need to go. I'm supposed to go like 4 hours away from the hotel to these caves. Where I'm supposed to meet this
Dude's a
stunt
hermit? I mean,
choreography
was he
guy.
like a sage? Like a...
I don't know. I don't know.
In a cave?
Right?
That's
just the name. It's like these famous caves. And that's where I'm supposed to go, and we're supposed to do like I guess our martial arts in the cave or something. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's crazy, right? So he ends up calling me back, and he's making it sound like it's my fault. He's making it extremely stressful. He's like, well, I guess you don't want this job. You should have just paid the guy, but I guess, we're just going to have to find somebody else, to do this. And inside my head, I'm thinking, dude, one, I didn't do anything wrong. Two, I'm like, no. We can figure it out, but yeah, anyways, the day goes by. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Jeff Johns is pissed. Deborah Snyder's pissed. Zack Snyder's pissed. And I'm talking to him. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go try to get some more money out of the ATM and pay the guys just so he can take me. And so we can be done. So I do that. I go walk out of the hotel, walk over to a gas station. There's ATMs over there. I stick my card in to get some money, and it shuts my card off.
Oh, dude. So you're in another country, got no money left, and you got how much money do you have on you right now?
I think I had
American money or the currency?
No, I had their currency. I still had some of their currency, but I needed more.
Yeah.
Right?
And they shut your card off.
Yeah, my bank shut my card. And before we left, I called the bank and I said, I'm going to Jakarta. Don't turn my cards off. They shut my cards off. So I have just whatever money is left in my pocket. And then ends up not happening. So I just okay, well, crap, this sucks. Go back to the airport, get back on the airplane, fly to Japan, to come back to South Carolina. I mean, to come back to fly into LA. And as I'm walking through the airport in Japan, I get a phone call from Deborah Snyder. And she's like, "Hey, Evan, where are you at?" And I'm like, "I'm in Japan." And she's like, "Okay, listen, we have a problem." I'm like, "What's the problem?" She's like, "Zach's not happy." I'm like, "Okay, what am I supposed to do? The guy stole my money. He wouldn't take me to where I was supposed to go. What do you want me to do?" And she's like, "Well, this part rides on you training with this guy." So I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "You have to go back."
What?
So I'm like, "Oh God." So I call my wife. I'm like, "Hey, they want me to go back. So I'm just going to buy another ticket and go back."
How much is
And
that?
then like another like $1,500 or $1,700 or something like that.
The amount of stress that I would be feeling at this moment in time to go back, I would have already just been like, you know what?
I give up.
Yeah, I'm done.
Dude, I was getting to that point. Not at this point, but because inside my head, I was talking to Deborah Snyder. I'm talking to Jeff Johns. They're like, you know, they're kind of blaming me for it, making, you know, my stress level raise up, because if this was real and I was going to get this part in this movie, it would be like life changing, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
of
saying.
course.
Of course.
I'm thinking of my family. I'm like, this could change our lives.
Like, if I get through
know?
this moment now
Yes.
and reach the goal, like this, it'll just be laughing matter,
Yeah.
and it'll be just part of the
100%. I'll be like on
journey.
freaking Jimmy Fallon talking about this or something. You know?
Yeah,
What
well,
happened to me?
even better. You're on the What's Up Everybody podcast
That's
talking
right.
about
Yeah,
it.
that's right. That's right. So, anyways, I end up buying another freaking ticket back to Jakarta. Go back to I pay another taxi guy more money. Go
How much?
back to, I think I paid him another $300. Go back to the hotel, pay for the hotel again. And then I'm trying to remember, because this was a couple years ago. I'm hanging out in the hotel, talking to Jeff Johns and Deborah Snyder. And the really, really weird thing. Okay, so a really weird thing. And I was super sketch about this part, but I figured, it's Hollywood. They have a lot of weird practicing methods, right? So I'm talking to Deborah Snyder, and she's running through, you know, lines with me.
Over the phone.
Over the phone. And
Like,
she's
not
like,
even FaceTime, just
not even FaceTime.
voice.
Just over the phone. Because the only thing I can use is the WhatsApp app.
Oh.
The WhatsApp. Because I have no phone service over there. So I have to be connected to Wi-Fi to talk to anybody. So we are running through some lines.
What were those lines, Evan?
Let them get to it,
There
Steven. Chill.
are some kissing scenes that we have to do. Some kissing scenes. So I'm walking through, you know, the Japan's airport, Nagasaki airport or whatever it was, like on my phone, like talking to Deborah Snyder, you know, pretending I'm Dick Grayson, and then I'm supposed to walk up to her in a club because she's all by herself, and I know who she is, but she doesn't know who I am, and I'm supposed to get information from her, right? So I have to seduce her. So I'm like on the phone, like pretending I'm walking up to, you know, this girl this woman who's supposed to be in the movie, and I'm like, "Hey, I see you here all by yourself. Why's a beautiful woman like you all alone?" And she's like, "So what's it to you?" I'm like, "Well, this is the kind of stuff that we're having
was
to
she
do,
talking
bro."
back to you?
Yeah, she's talking back to me, dude. So, and then I'm not good at this at all, you know. So it takes like a couple times, and then she's like, "Okay, now what you got to do?" You know, Dick Grayson, he's got to get her back to, you know, her room, and he's got to seduce her, right? And then there's got to be like a love scene and stuff like that. So we're doing this. I'm walking through the airport, like doing kissing scenes, like going, mwah, mwah,
Wait, you have to do it in front of the phone. At least a little ASMR.
like
going,
that,
actually going,
dude.
Evan.
Dude, it was like, dude, I felt so weird. I'm like walking around like this, doing it like that. I'm like,
Everyone
mwah,
watching you.
mwah, mwah, like, and she's like doing it on the other end of the phone too.
Oh,
So weird, bro. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe this is just some weird Hollywood training thing. And she also said that this is going to be uncomfortable. She did say, okay, we're going to do something uncomfortable. And you might feel embarrassed, but we're going to do this because whenever you get up in front of me and Zach, I don't want you to be nervous. I want you, to be okay with kind of like whatever we throw at you, you have to be able to do it, whether it's a kissing scene or not. So I'm like, okay. Anyways, so I'm doing that. So I get my ticket, go back to Jakarta, get checked in back into the hotel, and I'm supposed to wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning to go to these caves. And I wake up at 5 a.m., I go back down there, and I don't have enough money.
What?
I don't have enough money
to get.
Yeah, because the guy's like, to get all the way over there, it's another $200. So I'm like, I don't have. This is what you guys told me it was going to cost. I'm like, there's nothing. I don't have any more money to give you.
So at this point, you already paid the taxi another $350 just to take you to the hotel.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, I don't have any more money to give you, and I really don't. I really didn't. I had like so little money, so my stress level's getting high because Zach was saying, "Make it happen." He was like, "If you want this, you will make it happen." So I'm like, I'm like stressing out because inside my head, I know I don't have enough money. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to piss him off. Zack Snyder's going to be like, oh, you know what? Screw this guy. I don't even want to work with him anymore. And then here I am. I was afraid they were just going to cut off contact with me and leave me in Jakarta, So I'm freaking out.
Stressful, man.
Yeah, dude, super stressful, man.
In another country, not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Not to mention you're a new father at this point, basically.
Yeah.
So you're just your wife and your kid back at home.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I was also afraid because I was very scared.
Because you weren't in this main city. Where were you exactly?
I was kind of in the slums, dude. And the hotel was really nice, though. And the food was really good. But I was afraid that when I have no money, I'm afraid that if I get angry, I might go to jail. Like, I might get arrested.
Evan has the shortest temper known to mankind.
It's not that I don't really have a short temper, but at this moment, the amount of stress that I was feeling, almost running out of money. My cards are turned off, right? So all I have is just a little bit of cash in my pocket, right? And it's not a lot. And then the dude stole my money again. So I'm down there by the taxi, and the guy hands me another bill, and I'm like, listen, I don't have the money to pay this. I already paid you the money. And the taxi driver, shout out to him because he was actually really nice. He calls his boss, and he's like, hey, is it okay if he, pays me whenever we get to the place? Because my cards were supposed to be turned back on.
Yeah.
By noon. And his taxi driver was like, the boss was like, no, I could hear him like talking over the phone, like yelling at the driver. What? And the driver like turned back and he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm so sorry. My boss is telling me that if I don't leave, I'm going to lose my job.
This is a new taxi guy, right?
A new taxi guy.
This guy you just randomly got.
Well, he was holding my name. He was holding up a thing with my name on it too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When I got back to the airport in Jakarta. So, man, I'm like, dude, this cannot be happening. Like, my money's gone. I've already spent probably $6,000.
Yeah.
My money's now about to be stolen twice, from these freaking taxi guys. I might have I have a little bit of money left in my pocket. So anyways, he ends up leaving, and then I end up getting a call from Jeff Johns again, and I tell him, I'm like, listen, dude, he wouldn't take me. I didn't have the money to do it. He's super pissed. He's blaming me. He's like, I guess you just don't want this. We're just going to find somebody else. You're on your own. He kept saying that. He's like, you're on your own. I'm like, dude. I'm like, don't. I'm like, wait. Don't just leave me here. I'm like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what the heck to do. I'm scared to death. He ends up hanging up on me. So I'm like, effing A. So I just go back into the hotel. And I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, Sarah, I have no money. I don't even have enough money to get a taxi back to the airport. So my wife is freaking out. I'm freaking out. And, she's talking to the bank to try to get my cards turned back on so I can go to the ATM. And then, it's weird, man.
I would have come and gotten you, Evan.
I appreciate it.
I would have come and gotten you. If you would have called me, I'd be like, all right.
I've been teaching, martial arts lessons for money out there until you came.
In Jakarta.
Yeah, dude. So, anyways, my wife's mom ends up sending me $1,000 to a Western Union out there. And at this point, I literally have $10 in my pocket. And it's not like American dollars, it's rupees, which is their currency. And I have 10 rupees. Rupees. Yep. I have $10 worth of rupees in my pocket. That's all I have. My cards don't work. Jeff Johns and Deborah Snyder, they're all pissed at me. I'm super stressed out. I'm talking to the people at the front counter of the hotel. I'm like, I need to get to a Western Union. And they were nice enough to help me. They flagged down this dude on a moped, riding on a moped. They're like, hey, stop.
Get over here.
Yeah, stop. And they're like, hey, can you take him to a Western Union? And they're speaking their language.
So what they were saying was, hey, we got another American, we can take his money.
Yeah. No, they actually did help me. But so anyways, I jump on the back of this dude's moped, and we're just booking it through the slums of Jakarta.
You on the back of it? You were spooning him?
Yeah, man. Holding on to him. Praying. Please just let me get to Western Union.
To the right place.
Yeah. So anyways, we end up getting to this street. He stops. I get off. And he drives away. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll start looking around for a sign that says Western Union. I'm looking. The whole time I'm looking, I'm standing in the middle of this daggone road, and all of these people start walking out, and they're looking at me. They're like, who is this guy? And I've got like this bright red Under Armour shirt on, long sleeve Under Armour, like training shirt, and I'm super tall. I'm like a foot and a half taller than everybody there. So, and I'm white, dude. I'm like pasty white.
Evan's like what, 6'3", 6'4"?
6'3". And so when I don't see a sign for Western Union, I get scared again. And then I start just asking. I'm like, Western Union, Western Union, Western Union. And they're just like looking at me. And then they end up getting this lady who was working nearby to come out, and she speaks a little bit English. And he dropped me off in the wrong place. I was in the wrong place. So I take what little bit of money I have left. They flag down another moped guy. I give him my last bit of money. I'm like, take me to Western Union, please. And then thankfully he does. He gets me all the way to Western Union. I walk inside. And then while I'm in there, my sister Lindsay's like, do we have anybody, does Carlos Machado have any friends?
No, did she call you, or did you call her?
No, we're using the WhatsApp app.
Okay.
Using the WhatsApp. And she's like, she put a Facebook post out. She's like, do we have any friends who live in Jakarta? And sure enough, Carlos did. He had a friend who owned some hotels in Jakarta, and he was there currently. His name is Sampo. And
shout out Sampo.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you, dude. And he ends up giving me a call through the app, and he's like, Evan, I'm here. I'm a student of Carlos's. He's like, what do you need? I'm like, okay, well, I'm at Western Union right now, and they're trying to get me the money that my mother-in-law wired me. I'm like, I'm gonna need a driver. I need someone to come and pick me up, because it was $1,000. And I was afraid
what was $1,000?
That's what Sarah's mom sent me. She wired $1,000 to me, and so I was afraid, and I probably really didn't need to be, but I was afraid that when I got the money and I walked out, that I could possibly be jumped, or something bad could have happened. So I'm like, I need a driver, someone to come and pick me up and take me back to my hotel. He's like, okay, where are you at? So I gave him the phone to the person who was working in the Western Union, and he got the address, and then he sent his driver to come and pick me up. And so I get my money, and it's like in rupees. It was like a
stack.
thick stack of cash, dude. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what am I going to put all this? I'm like shoving it in my little backpack and putting some in my pockets and stuff. I'm like, if I walk out of here with this, I'm definitely getting jumped. And they're going to take all my
I would
money.
have jumped you.
So, like, I stay there. They come and pick me up. And then I get back to the hotel. I call Jeff and Deborah, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I got money. Send a driver. Let's freaking do this thing. So he's like,
So
okay.
you kept going with it.
I did. I didn't know. I kept going.
Oh,
I kept going
I
with
thought
it.
you were done after that. Like you
Yeah.
were like,
No.
You got me. I'm out of
get
here.
outta
All
here.
right.
No.
Well, let's ride. This is new
I'm-
to me. Let's.
Obviously, there was, now that I look back, there's a lot of red lights
Yeah.
that were shining out. But
I'm looking up some stuff right now, so I'll give some insight. So
yeah.
Go
So
for it.
anyways,
Whenever
I
you're
get
done.
back to the hotel. I've got money. My stress is kind of going down a little bit because I have money to kind of get me through the rest of the trip. And then I'm talking to him. He's like, okay, we've set up a new location. This is going to be in Bogor. There's some botanical gardens in Bogor that you're going to go to, and you're going to train with him there. This stunt coordinator, he's driving there now. So I'm like, okay. The taxi driver from earlier in the morning drives back, picks me up. I give him like the extra $250. At this point, I don't care. I just want to get this over with so I can get back home and see my daughter. And so I give it to him, and then we go. We go to Bogor. And then we get to Bogor. It's like a 2-hour drive. We get to Bogor. We find the botanical gardens, and he's driving like inside where we're supposed to go. And then he stops, and then I connect to his hotspot, and I call Jeff Johns. I'm like, hey man, I'm here. Where do I go? And then he's like, okay, good. Here's what you need to do. The guy who is driving you is talking to his boss, and he's telling his boss that you're gonna like pay him all kinds of money, and that he's gonna quit his job because you're gonna take care of him and his family. I'm like, what? This is really weird. So the guy, Jeff Johns, he created this sense of urgency for me to get out of the car, for me to get out. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is really weird. Because from this place, I was going to go right to the airport. So I had all my luggage with me, too. I had my pull-on suitcase, my backpack. I have all my luggage with me. I'm like, okay. I'll get out. And I'm like, hey, Andre, I appreciate you, man. You just dropped me off here. And so I get out, and he's like, are you sure? He's like, I can wait. He's like, I can stay here. I'm like, nah, man, no, let's go. He spoke a little bit of English. And I could tell now that I look back on it, I think he kind of knew what was happening.
Andre is Sampo's driver?
No,
or this is a different guy.
This was a different guy. Andre was an older guy who was supposed to drive me to where I was supposed to go.
So the other drivers sound like they kind of had a connection with what was going on.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
Kind of sound like, but was this guy completely random? Was this a random taxi guy?
No, I don't even know if it was the taxi drivers themselves that had involvement, or if it was the
boss.
company,
The
boss that could have possibly had something to do.
It was telling them to do this thing.
Telling them to do it, and he's getting the money.
So, but this taxi driver, he kind of showed some compassion and was kind of like,
yeah, I think he kind of realized what was going on.
maybe he had been a part of it before, and he himself was like, this isn't
Possibly, yeah.
weird
But while we were driving to Bogor, I had a good conversation with him. He had two kiddos. One of them was in college, and he was working to put her through college and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, man, that's really cool. So we had a good conversation. But anyways, going back, I get out of the taxi. He's like, man, I can hang out. I can stay here, until you find out what's going on. And the whole time, I'm talking to Jeff Johns like this, talking to Andre, and he's like, you know what? This is Jeff Johns. He's like, you know what? I'm tired of you, like being disrespectful. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm on his hotspot. I'm like, he's letting me borrow his hotspot. He's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with you. And he's like, I'm telling you what this guy's trying to do, and you're not listening to me, and you're just not listening. I'm like, okay, dude, I'm gonna stop. I'm like, where do I go? He's like, you'll find the stunt coordinator, and you're gonna train with him. I'm like, okay. So anyways, I'm like, thanks, Andre. I appreciate it. And I just start walking away. Andre drives off. I've got no communication with anybody anymore because his hotspot is gone. So I'm just like, what do I do? Do I just walk around and hopefully find this guy, this stunt coordinator? And that's what I start doing. I take like maybe 25 steps and they start closing the garden down. They start saying that it's closed. And I'm like, oh no. So here I am in Bogor, no communication at all with anybody.
How far are you away from where your hotel was?
I was like 2.5 hours away from the airport. And about 2 hours and 15 minutes from the hotel. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like looking around. I see these women walking up. I'm like, exit. And they point me towards the exit. I'm pulling my luggage. I walk to the exit. And I'm standing on a street. Like you walk right out. And there's a busy road. And I can go left or I can go right. And I look. And I just go right. I'm like, I don't know where to go. I'm just going to go this way. So I just go right. And I'm walking down the sidewalk in Bogor, in the city, pulling my luggage. And there's people walking by me. There's kids who are just now getting out of school. Or they're on a field trip.
What time of the day was this?
I don't even remember, man. I think they were getting out of school. No. No, it was in the morning. This was probably like at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I think they were in the botanical gardens on a field trip. And then as I'm walking by them, they're looking at me, you know, because I guess someone who looks like me is not very common. And some of the kids, like middle schoolers, kind of like walk up to me and they're like jumping up in the air, like to try to match their head with mine. And I could like see them doing it. I like smile at them and they like look back at their friends and their friends are like, like giggling and stuff. I'm like, you know, I'm just so much taller. I guess they were kind of making fun of me. But, you know.
Dang, this is not a good trip.
Yeah,
I just
getting
walked off.
But
But anyways, I walk, dude. I walk. And then I eventually see like this mall looking thing, And on the corner of the mall, there's a little coffee shop. I don't even remember what the coffee shop was called. But I walk in there. I set my bags down. The people who were working spoke some English.
did they have Wi-Fi?
They did have Wi-Fi. So I get a coffee. It's a Frappuccino. I actually got a Frappuccino.
Was
It was actually very good. It's a very good Frappuccino.
Did that help you with anything? Did that help you sipping that bad boy down?
Yeah.
Was it like,
yes.
a little
You know,
better?
I kind of felt like the whole time I kind of felt like I was being surrounded by Dementors. And the chocolate from the Frappuccino, you know, kind of energized me, you know, kind of made me a little bit happy. And then I asked the guy, I'm like, hey man, can I just chill out here for a little bit until I get a phone call from whoever it was? And he's like, yeah man, have a seat. So I sit down, I put my headphones in, I'm like listening to Blink 182, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah man, yeah dude, anything I can to make me feel like I'm at home, you know, back here. And then Jeff Johns calls me again. He's like, where are you? No, I call him because I got Wi-Fi, so I called him and he's like, why don't you listen to me? I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm in a country that I never even been to. I am running out of money and it's all this. And he's like, okay, you know what? This whole thing is just very stressful. I'm like, yes. I'm like, I'm in a coffee shop. I'm just hanging out here. He's like, okay, Deborah wants to talk to you. I'm like, fine. So I get on the phone with Deborah. She's like, Evan, hi, sweetheart. How is everything going? I'm like, pretty dang stressful.
Is that how she talked?
Yeah, so that's how he was talking. He's like, and maybe not to that extent, but it was something kind of like that. And I'm like, okay. Talking to him, and she's like, you know what? Just settle down. Let's run through some scenes. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, no way. So I do. I run through more scenes, more kissing scenes, and stupid crap like that. And then,
Wait, Sweet Tea, give me your best kissing scene. Go.
Like, what do you mean? Like, kissing a phone? Like, what do you mean? Like, kissing the mic?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be like, mwah, mwah. That's what I was doing.
In the middle of a coffee shop.
Yeah, in the middle of a freaking coffee shop.
See, Tony can't even do it. Can you do it right now?
I'm not gonna do
It's
it.
embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing. And
Absolutely.
That's what she told me. She's like, I know this is going to be embarrassing, but I don't want you to feel nervous whenever you're up in front of me, Zack Snyder.
I felt like you would have crushed
these
it.
other. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm doing a pretty damn good job. I wasn't into it, but I figured
She was.
for Nightwing, yeah, she was. But anyways, yeah. So while I'm there, everything kind of gets back to okay, speaking terms, I guess. And I almost forgot. Rewind it a little bit. I'm back at the hotel. They call me up. Jeff John calls me, and he's talking about the scenes of the movie. And he's like, I don't want you to say anything to anybody. They also made me sign a non-disclosure to where I couldn't mention what I was doing to anyone, not even my family. So I'm like, okay, that's why they didn't know that I was out there for an audition. So he's like, I'm talking to him, and he's like, yeah, we found this other person to play Deadshot. I'm like, okay, who is it? And he's like, well, he's another fighter. Not known in the movie industry, and we're looking at Chris Weidman. I'm like, dude. Are you serious? He's like, yeah. Why? I'm like, his little sister married my little brother, my younger brother, Tony. And he's like, no way. I was like, dude, this is freaking awesome. I'm excited, right? And then and he's like, whoa. He's like, could you put us in contact? I'm like, heck yes, I can. So I give this dude Chris's phone number. So now not only is this guy playing me, he calls Chris, starts playing Chris too, right? Doing the kissing scene with Chris as well.
Throwing Chris under the bus right now. Chris
I was like,
did the
that's going to be
kissing
awesome, man.
scenes.
This is
All
gonna
Evan's fault.
This is going to change my life. This is going to be awesome for Chris because it's going to get him in movies, and so I did that. Sorry, Chris. And so while I'm in Bogor, I'm talking and doing kissing scenes with Deborah Snyder. I'm texting with Chris back and forth, and he's like, Chris is kind of picking up on something. Chris talked to somebody, I believe, and he's like, man, this just sounds really fishy. He's like, Evan, call me. I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm on the phone with Deborah. And he's like, Evan, you need to call me right now. I'm like, I can't do it, Chris.
Oh, man.
I'm like, this is for real, man. And
I think for anybody else, there would be a lot of red flags.
bro, yeah,
No.
because
not anybody else,
Yeah,
dude.
no,
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, his managers were the ones who were like, this sounds real fishy, Chris. This isn't how this works. And I don't have managers like Chris and Wonderboy do. So I'm like,
That's where they messed up, man.
Yeah, I was like, dang, this is
Contacting
awesome.
somebody who's got some people around them to let them know the deal.
Yeah, man. So anyways, I wait in that coffee shop for like 10 hours.
What?
And I'm talking to
10 hours?
Yeah, I wait there for like 10 hours. And I'm talking to Jeff Johns.
No way, dude.
And he's he's coming. The guy's on his way. Whenever he gets there, and I'm talking to him like every hour or so. And he's like, yeah, he's on his way. Traffic is real bad. It's everyone's getting off of work, so traffic is terrible. He's stuck. But he's like, y'all are not going to be able to do any stunt choreography. Y'all are just going to have a conversation. And he's going to talk to you about your background and what you've done and stuff like that. And then he's going to get in touch with Zach, and he's going to tell Zach what he thinks. So I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. And I do more kissing scenes with Deborah and more kissing scenes. And then eventually I get another call from Jeff, and when I pick up, he's pissed. He's like, son of a blah, 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 blah. He's like, they're doing the same thing to this guy as the taxi guys did to you. He's like, they're ripping him off. He said they stopped, and they told him that if he didn't pay them like another $1,000, they were going to leave him there. And at this time, this dude's like, the stunt choreographer's like 78, maybe 80 years old. Right? I'm like, geez, this is not good. And he only has a translator, and his translator is like his granddaughter. And so he was telling me that the taxi guy is threatening to leave him and his granddaughter in the middle of nowhere. if he doesn't pay them this much money. I'm like, holy crap, dude. I'm like, well, what's going to happen? He's like, dude, this whole thing is a big crap fest. He's like, I'm like, what do you want me to do? He's like, and this is like 9:00 at night. He's like, just go to the airport. I'm like, oh, thank God. So before I leave the coffee shop, I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, hey man, where can I get a taxi? He's like, go that way and there's a hotel. So I'm like, okay, thank you, man. So I leave, got no Wi-Fi again. I'm at nighttime. It's night. I'm walking down the sidewalk, probably a half a mile from the mall. I'm just walking, pulling my stuff, and it, I wasn't really nervous because I wasn't back in the slums. Bogar was actually pretty cool. People were passing me, and it looked like, they had some boyfriend and girlfriend were holding hands and they were walking past me. It just looked like a normal city.
Yeah.
And so I get to the hotel. They get me a taxi, a Bluebird taxi, and I jump in it, and the dude takes me all the way to the airport. And bro, this dude is flying.
Well, it's 2 hours away, right?
2 hours away, bro. He gets me there in like an hour. He is booking it. I'm like, geez. But nobody pulls him over. He had to have been going about 100 miles an hour the whole way. And he gets me there, and I pay him whatever was on the cab fare, and I like throw him like another 20, what would be like another 20 American dollars. And he's like, for me? He's like, for me? I'm like, yeah, man, it's for you. And he's like, oh, thank you. And he gets in, he drives away. I'm like, man, that guy was so nice. He's such a nice guy.
That must have been refreshing.
Bro, yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, bro. I'm like, man.
Like anybody, like just the fact that the taxi guy cared enough to get you somewhere fast, you're like, okay,
yeah,
I can do this.
Dude, and I'm at the airport too, so it's like international ground, right? And I'm like, I feel safe. So as soon as I get in there and I get through the luggage check, dude, all the stress from like the past 2 weeks that I was going through, all this crap, like just lifted off of my shoulders. But it's not over. It's not over yet, you guys.
Dang, dude.
So anyways, I fly all the way back to LA.
You're back in America.
I'm back in America.
In the States.
Yeah. I land, and I immediately call Jeff Johns. I'm like, hey, I'm back in. I'm at LAX. What do I do from here? He's like, okay. He's like, me and Deborah are back as well. We're in meetings all day, but we're going to send a driver to come and pick you up. So I'm like, okay, cool.
They know a lot of drivers.
I know, right? So I'm waiting at LAX for like 2 hours. I'm like, hey, man, is the guy coming? I'm texting him. I'm not calling him. I'm texting him. I'm like, hey, man, is the driver coming? He's like, yeah, I apologize. We're just in meetings all day, and it's just really hectic and very stressful.
Real quick. Does it feel amazing that you don't have to rely on Wi-Fi right now?
Oh, yeah.
You're back in the States. Did you turn your Wi-Fi off just to be like, forget you, Wi-Fi? I can use my cell service.
I didn't. but let me tell you, man, like, there's no other feeling than being in freaking America. Dude, like, not saying anything bad about Jakarta or anything. Like, I honestly want to go back to Jakarta. Because
it was cool. I mean, you saw what could possibly be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right? Because driving
in different circumstances, it would have been
in different circumstances. Cool. I've heard Jakarta is freaking amazing, and I want to go back there, and I want to eat more of their food because the food in the hotel was absolutely amazing. It was so freaking good. So I do want to go back to Jakarta, just in a better situation, not in a much less stressful situation. So anyways, I'm waiting at the airport for like 2 freaking hours. The driver doesn't come. So I text him. I'm like, dude, do you want me just to get an Uber and go to the hotel? And he's like, yeah, just get an Uber. You're going to go to we have an account at the Four Seasons, Beverly Hills. You're going to go there and we're going to set you up with a room. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I go to the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. And I go inside. I'm like, hey, my name is Evan Thompson. I'm here for a hotel room. It should be under Deborah Snyder. And they're like, okay. No Deborah Snyder here. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, she has an account here. And they're like, no, sorry. I'm like, weird. So I like text him again. I'm like, hey man, I'm at the hotel. There's no room or anything for me. You know, he's like, oh, I apologize about that. He's like, we're working on it right now. So I'm like, okay. And I told him, I'm like, I'm gonna walk and go find something to eat. She's like, okay. He's like, leave your luggage at the bellhop. They'll take care of everything when your room is ready. So I'm like, okay. So I leave my luggage. I'm like walking down somewhere in LA, and as I'm walking, I'm recognizing all of these buildings and stuff from Grand Theft Auto, right? From playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for so long. I'm like, oh, dude, I had like a freaking condo in that building right there, you know? So I'm like walking around. I'm feeling better. I got my headphones in, you know, and I find a good restaurant to sit down and eat, and I have a beer, and then I start walking back to the hotel. I'm like, hey, is there a room ready yet? Nope, not ready yet. I'm like, okay. So I'll just hang out there for a little bit longer, a couple more hours. While I'm sitting there, Paul Giamatti walks out of the restaurant. I'm like, that's Paul Giamatti. It's pretty cool. I don't wave at him. He like stops and like fixes pants, and he like looks at me, and then he just walks out. You know, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I think he expects you to wave
You
at
know?
him.
Yeah, something. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna like be like, hey, Paul. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do that. But anyways, so I wait there until nighttime, and then I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, just these meetings are, you know, trying to figure out all this movie stuff. It's super stressful and busy. And I'm like, do I just have to get my own room? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to pay you all back after you do the audition and stuff. So I'm like, shit. You know how much one night at the Four Seasons Beverly Hills cost me?
What?
$650. One night at the Four Seasons Beverly Hills. I'm like, oh my God.
At this point, how much money do you think you spent so far?
At this point, I'm close to $10,000.
Nuts.
Close to $10,000. So anyways, I get the room. I go up to the room. Deborah Snyder, man, she told me she told me that she liked this HBO show or Showtime show. I forget the name of it, but she was like, I really like this show. Find a monologue and memorize the monologue, because you're going to do this in front of me and Zach and some other producers and stuff tomorrow. And oh, I'm calling somebody. That's not good. Oh God, who did I call?
Did you just
What's
call
that?
him?
You called him.
Did you just call
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Evan just called him. You
just
should have picked
called
up.
him.
You see if they picked up.
No, the person who did it.
They're in jail.
Wait, no, just call it. Just call it. See what happens.
No,
No.
dude, no.
They're
Why not?
in jail.
But their accomplices could probably not.
No, I'm pretty
Dude,
sure.
just call.
No, I'm not gonna call him. I'm not gonna
Call.
I'm not gonna do it.
I'll call.
No.
Dude,
Nobody's gonna pick
No,
up.
nobody's gonna pick
Steven.
up.
you never know.
They're all in prison.
So, anyways, I memorized the monologue that I'm going to do. The next morning, I wake up and I'm like, "Hey, dude, what do I need to do? Where's the audition? What time do I need to be there? Such and such." And he's like, "What did I say?" I said, "Hey, man, when you get a chance, can I speak to Deborah?" He said, "I was just gonna message you. Yes, in 1 hour." And a call in at 4 p.m., which means the audition was supposed to be at 4.
Okay.
Right? So I believe at this time, Deborah ends up calling me. She's talking to me. We run through more scenes.
More
I'm like,
makeout scenes.
you know, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to have Jeff give you all the information. The audition is at 4 p.m. and I want you there a little bit early so we can practice your lines. I'm like, okay. So Jeff calls me right back. He's like, hey, Evan, we pushed the auditions back to 7 p.m. I'll get you all the information. I'm like, okay. And I'll wait. And I'll wait until about 4:30. 4:43. I said, hey, man, Deborah said you would give me all the info needed today. She said I should leave the hotel at 2:30 to make it on time. Hey, brother, not sure. Oh, and then at 6:12. Yeah, at 6:12 p.m. because he told me the audition was going to be at 7. So I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting all day for him to get back in touch with me, and he's gone silent. He's not responding, not calling me back, nothing. So I'm like, oh man. And the whole time this is happening, he had told me previously that he's like, hey man, I don't want you to be nervous, but there are some big names that are going to also be auditioning for this part. And the first thing that came to my mind as far as big names was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Mm-hmm. Who's that? What is he playing?
He plays.
He played basically
in
like Robin in like the third
Angels
movie.
in the Outfield. Angels in the Outfield. He played in Inception.
Oh, yeah,
He played in Batman.
Yeah, he played in Batman.
He was the police officer,
Yeah.
the young kid
Yeah.
in Batman.
Robin or whatever.
Yeah, good actor.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, I'm gonna be.
Yeah, he totally would have beat you for the part.
Oh, he would. He would have totally, 100%. And so when he told me that, that's the first thing that came into my mind. And then whenever he went silent, I started thinking, I was like, dude, I bet Joseph Gordon-Levitt went in there, killed crushed it, and they're like standing ovation. Nah, you got the part.
You got it, man.
And then they just freaking like shut me off, right? So I'm like, dadgummit, man. That's what I'm thinking. But I'm just like, you know what? I'm not hearing back from him. I don't want to be late to this audition. So I end up getting an Uber and going to Warner Brothers Studios. And I'm like walking out front of Warner Brothers Studios, just walking back and forth down the sidewalk, just in case they call me back. And I can run. I was just going to run to the studio and do the audition, right? But they don't. So I end up calling my sister Lindsay. I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I can't get in touch with them
Wait, did
anymore.
Lindsay know about this at this point?
No, not at this point. No. Oh, she knew that I went over there.
Okay,
but
but
she
now-
didn't know what it was for. Nobody knew what it was for except for Sarah. And then so I'm like, I'm supposed to be. Well, she kind of knew what I was doing, going for an audition, but not for what movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think this is gonna happen. And she was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I haven't been able to get in touch with them all day. And she's like, are you kidding me? I was like, no. I was like, but you know what? I don't even care anymore. All the stress that I've been through, I was like, I don't even care. I just want to get back to Texas and see my daughter. And then she's like, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk over here and get a pizza and have a beer. And she's like, yeah, just go ahead and do that, and then you can just get on the airplane later tonight and just come back home. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And you know, while all this stuff is going on and I'm not able to contact them, they're scamming Chris. They're on the phone with Chris, you know, making him miss practice sessions, you know, making him do, you know, scenes and stuff like that. And
That's why they're going
to him.
silent, because they're talking to him.
Probably.
They're probably not touch talking to him. I think it's like a network of many different people.
Yeah.
And you said this happened, what, 2018-ish?
This happened, I think, in 2019.
2019?
Yeah,
Okay.
2019 for me. But this person had been doing it, scamming people for, you know, years before
Since
that.
2015
Yeah.
was when they got going on the first scam.
Yeah. So, anyways, right after I get off the phone with Lindsay, I get a text from him. But before I got on the phone with Lindsay, I said, hey, man, I know you're crazy busy. I'm heading towards Warner Brothers Studios. I'm going to be hanging out around that area until you get back in touch with me. And I'm waiting. I call Lindsay. I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go get some pizza. She's like, yeah, go ahead. I start walking towards the pizza place, and I get a text. Question mark, where? And then he says, lot 18. We have sent an email. That's what he said. I said, I never got it. On my way. On my way, brother. And then he said, we're done for the day. So I'm like, whenever I say on the way, I start running towards the entrance of the studio. And then he says, we're done for the day. And I just like stop. I'm like, what? He said, let me call you in an hour. And I said, oh. And then after that, I said, hey, man, has Zachary... like after that, after I said, oh, I never heard back from him. So I turn around, I walk to the pizza place, and I get a text from Lindsay. OMG. That's all it said. And I was like, question mark. And then she sent me this article that says, Con Queen of Hollywood strikes again. I'm like, what is this? She said, Evan, oh my gosh. I start reading it. Everything that was in that article happened to me. Happened to me. This person was flying, having people fly to Jakarta, Indonesia, doing acting scenes, kissing scenes, all kinds of stuff with these people, just scamming them out of thousands and thousands of dollars. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, you better let Chris know. I hang up. I immediately call Chris. And I'm like, dude, don't do anything with these people. I'm like, it's all fake. It's all a scam. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, don't. It's all fake. It's not real. He's like, dude, I was just about to buy my ticket to L.A. I'm like, don't do it. I was like, don't do it. He's like, no way, man. I was like, yeah. He's like, holy crap. I almost flew to L.A. for nothing. And I said, at least you didn't fly all the way to Jakarta. Dude, we freaking die laughing, bro. I'm like in the pizza place laughing so freaking hard. Like, I'm almost about to cry. He's cracking up. You know, like those laughs that you laugh and then you can't breathe? You're laughing so hard. It was like that, dude. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Dude, I would have cried. $10,000, Evan.
But that's not even anything. So, for those of you that haven't picked up yet, which I'm sure you have, this is the Hollywood the Con Queen of Hollywood?
That's the nickname that he was given, the Con Queen of Hollywood.
Yes. So, this person is known for allegedly rolling calls all day in the guise of prominent women in the industry and elsewhere, like movie industry, photography, all kind of industries. They even go into like political industries like Fox News and stuff like that, trying to get people to be, writers for Fox. Just all kind of people, not just Hollywood. And like Evan said, impersonating Deborah Snyder, Stacey Snyder, Amy Pascal, Donna Langley, just all kind of people. And then this person preys on up and coming, kind of like fringe, like fringe in the entertainment industry. So like photographers or stuntmen or
people who haven't quite made it.
Yeah, who want it, who want that next
big break. Yeah.
So that's the type of people they're preying on, and they said that scams have gone anywhere from $10,000 to $150,000 that this person has gotten out of these people.
Now, did it say
this
the
one
total
guy.
amount of what he's probably scammed?
No, they haven't released that yet. Like he was just recently caught, arrested.
Yeah, like last year, COVID year, in December of last year, he was caught and arrested.
They caught him. They had a multinational team hunting this guy down.
Yeah.
But he's currently in the UK. That's where they caught him. They caught him in the UK. But yeah, man, exactly what you said. Constant contact with these people, just promising them the hope of like.
That's what he looks like.
Yep.
What?
And we'll flash a picture up there.
Yeah, we'll flash a picture. But he looks like the biggest dork.
Oh my god.
Biggest dweeb.
And he has recordings of you making out with nothing.
Probably.
Your cell phone.
Probably. Don't release those, dude.
Chris was doing
him.
those scenes too, right?
Yeah, he was doing them too.
What?
That's him.
How do you have
Crazy.
time to do that all day?
Bro, he was hard at work. He was working hard.
Yeah, this was his thing. He is he's 41 years old now, Indonesian.
And it has hit people for over 100,000.
150,000, and it's like what you said. And I think the reason he cut you off in L.A. was because he didn't have ties in L.A.
Probably not. Yeah.
He didn't have the money, so it was basically just pointless for you to be in L.A. and him to continue because he didn't have ties with drivers and hotel people, and because in Indonesia, Jakarta, which is where he was born, they said that he had ties with the hotel, the car drivers, translators.
Wow.
There's all kind of these random people.
Yeah.
And he would collect a huge portion of that money because, like you said, $20 to that taxi driver was like.
Yeah.
So he was paying them pennies and keeping all the rest.
Yeah.
It's like that movie with Will Smith. Just what is a scamming movie. I forgot what it was called, but maybe you guys can tell me in the comments down below. But it was a Will Smith movie, and it was all about these con artists.
Oh, they didn't have
it had
Margot Robbie in it as well.
The girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, the blonde girl?
Yeah, I missed it. I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about. But yeah, dude, he got me for freaking $10,000.
10 grand. He's just rolling in the dough. Do you think he was doing that like numerous people at once?
Dude,
Obviously,
yeah.
I think so.
You and Chris at the same time.
Me and Chris at the same time, and
Chris
he had
is about
to
to
have
leave.
used. He had to have used like a deep fake voice, because while I was in Japan, just waiting for my flight to go back to Jakarta, I figured it would be good to maybe watch some interviews of Jeff Johns and Deborah Snyder just to kind of figure out, what they have kind of done in the past, and watching their interviews and hearing him on the phone be them sounded exactly like them. I'm like, there's no way he can be doing this with his real voice, and to be able to switch it off, because there were times where I would be talking to Jeff Johns and I would be like really mad. I'd be like, give me Deborah right now, and he'd be like, hang on, and then sound like he would hand the phone over, and then Deborah Snyder would be on. I'm like, what's going on? I guess so.
With the phone, acting like he's handing it across. So once you found out that you got the text from Lindsay, our sister, like, what happened then? I mean, were you just like, you just got on the plane and left?
Yeah, dude. I got an Uber back to my cards got turned back on because I was back in the States. And then I just got an Uber back to Beverly Hills Four Seasons to get my luggage. And then
have you already stayed a night there?
Yeah. I stayed a night. The night that I stayed, I was practicing my lines because the audition was for the next day. And then I freaking get on a plane, go back to Dallas. And at this time, man, my stress is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm so relieved. I'm going back home and I get to see Leora. And I'm just like, oh, thank God. Because she was a year old. She was 1 year old. And maybe 1.5 at this point. And then as I'm flying out of LA, my wife and her friend Jessica, who is also an author, they're flying into San Francisco, I think, or San Diego, for Jessica to do some
go to Jakarta.
Yeah. To do something
to get her big break.
But like as I'm flying to Dallas, Sarah and Jessica are flying in for the weekend. So I was just super happy to go back, pick up Leora, and just me and her have the whole weekend. Yeah. Just me and her. Oh my God, dude. I was hugging her. I was kissing her. Man. We were going on daddy-daughter dates, even though she was only 1.5. It was the freaking best. Dang. That point.
Now,
but
when it hit you that they had scammed you out of $10,000, I mean, that probably didn't even care.
At that point, I didn't care.
To be home,
yeah.
Man. Nothing like being in that kind of stressful situation for 2 weeks, not thinking at some point that I'm going to get jumped here. These guys are going to take my money. I may not end up getting back home just to see your daughters. Probably it's just
and having the family the kind of family that we have. Lindsay and Carlos and John and Brad, Professor Brad, they all did seminars to help kind of give me some money back. Pay me some money back.
No
yeah, they
way.
did seminars for me. I didn't ask them to do it. Lindsay set it all up. Lindsay and Carlos set it all up. I think Hegan did one as well.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I guess he felt bad, huh?
Yeah. Hegan was like, no way. He's like, I cannot believe it. He's like, you just let me know what I need to do and I'll make it happen. I think Hegan, Carlos, Professor Brad, and John Machado, and Marco Santos, they all did some like small seminars to kind of help recoup some of the money that I lost. Thank God for family, right?
Dude, I know. Thanks for asking me.
Did you think about contacting authorities or anything?
Okay. So whenever it was done with me, and I told Chris what had happened, he was like, I'm gonna keep talking to him. He's like, I'm gonna keep leading them on, because Chris spoke to Matt Serra about it, and Matt Serra put Chris in touch with somebody who's in the FBI, and that FBI guy, I believe, told Chris to keep going. And then we messed it up one day because Chris called me. He's like, hey man, Deborah's about to call me. He's like, you want to 3-way it? I'm like, dude, put me in there as well. And so I think he called me maybe from Marivi's phone, and he had his phone close to it. And then, sure freaking enough, Deborah Snyder called, and I hear the person talking like Deborah. And Chris is like, hey, yeah, everything's going good. And she's like, hi, Chris, how's everything going? Everything's like fabulous over here. Everything's going good. Are you ready to practice? And he's like, yeah. He's like, hang on just a minute. And he took his phone and brought it. They took, I think, Marivi's phone and brought it close to his. I'm like, hey, Deborah. And she's like, hello? I'm like, hey, it's me, Evan. And then she hangs up.
Oh,
He hangs up. And then me and Custer were like, oh my God, dude, what the heck? And he's like, once our like adrenaline kind of calmed down a little bit, he's
dang
like,
it.
he's like, damn, dude, I think we messed up. I'm like, yeah, bro, I think we did kind of screw up a little bit.
Don't worry, man. They were going.
Yeah, they got him.
They were hustling for this
A year
dude.
after he got me, but they got him.
They
Yes!
did.
And you'll
They
have to
picked him
post a
up.
picture up so these people
Now,
can see who this
He's in
freaking
prison
dweeb is,
in
man.
the UK right now, right?
Yeah.
And after he finished his sentence there, I believe
They're going to bring him over here to
the
America.
US.
Yeah, because he conned a lot of people from over there in the UK, and he conned a lot of people from over here. So he's committing crimes
both
internationally.
countries, so.
They said that the FBI released a 7-page grand jury indictment on the guy, outlining 8 charges against him, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and aggravated identity theft. Tahil Rahmani and his co-conspirators would falsely claim that they wanted to hire the entertainment industry professionals to work on films and other projects purportedly based in Indonesia, when in fact no such films or projects existed.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, just know if anybody calls you.
No, it ain't gonna happen no more.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Because he's got.
You know,
Yeah.
the snake of the head gets cut off, another one grows back.
That's
you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Man, couldn't have said it better
Never-
myself. You nailed that quote.
Thank you. Is that how it went?
Good
How'd
job.
it
No.
go?
The snake of the head gets cut, the tail keeps wagging.
That's it. Is that what it is?
No, I have no idea what it is.
I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, you know, there could be somebody else out there doing the same thing, or maybe they didn't get everybody. They're waiting for a little bit. They're biding their time.
Yeah, so I think he almost got caught once, and then he laid low for a little bit, maybe a year or so, and then he started coming back
Doing it
out and
again.
doing it again.
I don't know
You
how
know.
they caught him, man. He must have been in the middle of
Bro, it
something.
was multi-jurisdictional. There was so many. There was like a whole task force created just to catch this guy.
They probably had to do something with WhatsApp. People were probably sending the authorities the number that he was using,
And they
and
tapped it that way.
somehow they worked with WhatsApp and maybe tracked him
Well,
down.
he
to
had
his
he
phone
had
or
his
something.
he had an Instagram account that he was like actively as himself. Like,
yeah,
even
Food
owning.
Bites or something like that.
It
He
was
had
called
a-
like Pure Bites or something.
Pure Bites.
That he was like the guy.
Going around doing taste testing food and stuff like that.
He's 41 years old, man.
Which is what we should do, man. We should go back to Jakarta and taste test some of their food.
Absolutely.
Because
do some martial arts with
Silat.
Sagat.
Maybe spar some of their
Silat?
Silat. Maybe spar some of their young kids.
Or Sagat.
You know,
Character.
But that's such an intense story.
most
And to
stressful
think
I've
we
ever
had
been.
zero stress about it. We had no idea that you were there.
I thought everyone was going to go there. And
I saw
adopt a
some
kid.
posts. Yeah, Steven thought he was going there for adoption. I thought he was there for like a work trip or something.
When really I was over there like this,
Crying
coming
every
down.
night.
It's not coming. I'm like,
Nuts. But you had made a statement like, dude, like why? Like why did he keep, I feel like somebody would have figured it out, but no, man.
Well, a year
he just
before-
kept, in one of the articles, like you said, he kept contact with them and he kept
Yeah.
giving these people little bits of hope.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, whatever.
and I think he deterred me from catching on by making the situation incredibly stressful,
Yeah.
making it really
Putting you
really
in
stressful.
situations where you have no contact with them, and you have to get another guy, spend money, and they're just, and those guys are set there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they kept saying, if you want this part, you got to believe in yourself. If you want this, you can do anything that you believe in. Make it happen.
And then
Make
being
it
raised in the
happen.
martial arts, we're always about indomitable spirit. You just got to grind.
Yeah,
One
dude,
day
that's
it's going to
exactly
pay
what I was
off.
thinking. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, if I get this part and I do make it big and this movie gets made, this would be a funny story to tell. Like if I was ever on
I'll be worth
Jimmy Fallon or freaking some late night TV show, like, let me tell you what happened to me. Well,
Maybe you will be, but just telling this story.
maybe
about
I'll
the
maybe after I finish the Thomas Orbit series, I'll maybe embellish this story a little bit, to where maybe I had to fight against some bad guys who were trying to
Boom. Movie right
take
there.
my kidneys or something.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
were
had to fight
in the botanical garden, just
Yeah.
actually doing a fight scene.
Yeah, fighting
Or you
people.
wake up in a bathtub, you're sewn up, kidney's gone. You know what I mean?
And
And
maybe,
you have to fight your way out to get your kidney back.
that's right. I have to go find the person they donated it to.
To kill him.
They'd be like, "Hey,
You had to
excuse me,
sniff out your
that's
own
my
kidney.
kidney right there."
Dang,
Man, that's
man.
wild, man. That is a wild story.
One of the
man.
craziest stories I've ever heard.
They tried to get Chael Sonnen too.
Yeah, I
But
heard
he was
that.
smarter than me and didn't fall for it.
They probably called
Dude,
Chael,
they
and
tried to
Chael
get
ended
me a
up
year
getting
before.
him.
They tried to get me a year before.
See, I
Mom,
should've just-
and of course, my mom was like, "Nah, this is not real." Immediately.
Like, hey,
Got it.
what's up? We want you to be part of a movie. Just fly over here to Jakarta real quick, and we'll see how it goes.
Mom was like, "Nope." Evan was like,
Like,
"Sure."
nope. Evan's like, I'll do it.
You give me the chance to be Nightwing, a comic book hero. But also, I was thinking, man, dude, DC's not doing very well in their movies. Do I really want to be a part of this movie?
Really? Were you thinking that?
I was thinking that, dude. I was like, "Ugh, okay, I'll do it."
Dang.
Yeah,
Well, there
dude.
you
But
had it,
that's my
guys.
crazy story. Super
That is
stressful
that
story.
is an epic story time
heard
for
it
the
first.
ages.
Right here on the What's Up Everybody podcast, guys.
What's up,
Hilarious. Let us know in the comments down. If this has happened to you before, guys, let us know in the comments down below. Also, before we bolt out, Thomas Orbit's Science, Action, Sci-Fi. Check it out, you guys. Tell them where they can get it, Sweet Tea. I mean, Evan.
You can go to Amazon. Amazon. Type in Thomas Orbits, marked by fire. Orbits is spelled with a Z. And like I said, you guys, this coming week, I'm gonna knock the price down. I'm gonna do a fire sale, $9.99.
So
Get it.
that's $10 off the original price.
Yeah, it was $19.99. I lowered it a little bit, but it's gonna go down to $9.99. So get it,
Just for
please.
y'all.
Just for y'all.
For a
Just
week,
for
baby.
y'all.
Come on now. Go
Like
check
I said, I'm going to be linking that down in the description below, as well as Evan's Instagram handle. Maybe you can scroll back a few years and see the good times he was having in the old Carta.
Riding on the back of a moped. I had a green helmet on. I'm just like, hey.
This is the best time of my life.
Evan, if you have any pictures, send it to Sweet Tea. We can maybe put it
Okay.
up on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could
we'll try
probably
to
do
get
that.
some up
Probably,
there.
I could probably send you a video of me on that moped.
Just having a blast.
Yeah,
not
bro.
not
Before
realizing.
I knew.
Oh.
All
Send
innocent
over
and
some of those
gullible.
auditions as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The audio.
It's the audio of it. Making out with it. Making out
Yeah,
with the
making
phone.
out on the phone, you guys. Hey, I'm not embarrassed to say it. You know.
You know.
No,
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, it's like it's cool that obviously because you're back and everything's fine and we can
And it
sit
happened to
here
you.
and we can and what's even cooler is that it happened to you and not us. Anyways, guys, appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Evan,
We love you,
appreciate
buddy.
you for
Thanks,
coming
man.
down. You
Yeah.
can come out more often, obviously. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. We drop a podcast episode weekly, every Monday morning at 10 a.m. So make sure you guys ring that notification bell so that you don't miss it. Also, if you're not a fan of the video format, make sure you guys head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. We're over on all of those platforms as well. And check us out over there.
Catch y'all later, man.
Peace.
High five me up, fellas.
Peace out. Love y'all.